All right, we're here in Georgetown University. Hoyas for Immigrant Rights, Georgetown students who are protesting DACA, which will be heard by the Supreme Court next week, are now marching through Georgetown. They're going to be heading to DuPont Circle in an attempt to shut down DuPont Circle, and then they're heading to the Supreme Court. We're going to see if we can talk to some of them. So some of the arguments that I've heard in covering the news about anti-DACA, I guess, is, for example, someone who is an F1 visa legal student has told me before, look, it's not that I'm opposed to DACA individuals getting some sort of... Yeah, sure.
I was told to tell people not to talk to you.
Not to talk to me? Oh. They don't want to talk to us. If you're trying to get people on your side to support DACA, do you think it's smart to shut down traffic, prevent people from getting to work and things like that?
Yeah. I'm not an organizer, so I really wouldn't want to say anything about that.
All press inquiries are going to the organizers.
I'm sorry?
Press inquiries are going to the organizers, and I know you already got an interview with them.
Well, I mean, I can talk to people who are walking. I've heard you guys chanting a lot of other stuff too, like shut down ICE and things like that. Some people might make the case that, you know, ICE does go after drug dealers, sex traffickers.
I'd rather not answer that.
You're not going to answer that?
Yeah, I'd rather not answer.
Okay. How do you think legal immigrants who came to the U.S. the right way feel when other people are able to cut the line and get access to status? How do you think that makes them feel?
I don't really agree, like, the way that you phrase that, like, the right way. So, yeah, I'd rather not answer that question.
Or legal way?
I just think I'd rather not answer that.
That ICE does do good work in the sense when they target drug dealers and sex offenders. So couldn't both be true? Like, couldn't you also have ICE and do something for the DACA students at the same time?
No, I don't believe so, because ICE has been used to do more harm than good in this country. And at the end of the day, it's all to uphold white supremacy in a way, you know, try to decolonize this country, get rid of brown and black people, and keep people of European descendancy in power.
Do you think it's fair that legal immigrant students who came here on visas or who did things the right way they're not going to be prioritized, and instead DACA students would be prioritized over them? Do you think that's fair?
There's no such thing as a right way. There's so much history that's ingrained, and there's reasons why our families left our home countries, and we have no way to justify it. But we're here, we're present.
The thing is, though, is that DACA students didn't have a choice. They were minors, and we can't blame minors for those decisions. So
I think a lot of Americans on both sides of the aisle are very sympathetic to DACA, and they want to find a solution. But I think a lot of them might be put off at the idea of, for example, shutting down DuPont Circle, preventing traffic. Do you think that's the best way to draw attention to the cause?
I think it is, because it puts a face to the issue, and people are soon going to be voting.
Immigration is a human right. This is their home just as much as it is ours.
I mean, what do you think it says to F1 students, J1 students, or just anyone else who has respected the process that maybe they're being put behind the line, so to speak, for an issue like DACA?
The system does not enable many immigrants. Everyone says do it the legal way, but there's no legal way.
Should there be any limits on how, so we talk about how restrictive the legal way is. Should there be any sort of restrictions, or should it be basically if someone wants to come and work, they should be allowed in, or whatever if they come and flee? Because I'm sympathetic to the argument because my dad did it, but I look around the world, whether it's not only in Latin America, whether it's Africa, the Middle East, and it's like there are billions of people in poverty and in war-torn countries, and the truth is, I guess to me at the end of the day, is we can help who we can, but we can't help them all. So do you think there should be any sort of restrictions, or do you think it's possible to restrict?
Everyone who wants to come should have the possibility to do so. And there is an argument that we can't take them all, but we actually can take everyone that is here. They have been here, and it would boost the U.S. economy so much.
Do you think there should be any limitations on who could come to the U.S., or what are your thoughts on that?
Obviously, I think if you're like suffering from where you're from and there's no way for you to like get above that or get away from that, you should definitely be able to come here to look for a better future, a better life for you and your family.
There is a space in this country. There is an economy that could be very, very boosted by allowing these immigrants to come in.
If you allowed anyone from Latin America to come who wanted to come, there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of uneducation in Latin America, and at a certain point it wouldn't be helping the U.S. economy, it'd probably be hurting. But at a certain point, if you're letting millions and millions of poor people, it's going to hurt the economy. Do you agree with that? Or
it is not necessarily that millions and millions of poor people are going to come, but also we have to point out that immigrants who come are in those jobs that no one else wants, and it will keep happening. Those jobs that are producing everything that we have are those jobs that immigrants hold.
It's been proven time and time again that immigrants are a net benefit to the economy in every way. There really isn't a downside at all. So just like the arguments aren't stacking up to say that immigrants are bad for the U.S. or for the economy. And I think that citizenship really just does mean that, you're here, you're in it, like that's it.
Sure. Being a citizen should mean something. So there should be some things that I have access to as a citizen that non-citizens don't. Otherwise, what's the point? So do you see a point in citizenship? Shouldn't being a citizen mean something?
Well, being a citizen does mean something. It means that you're part of a larger community. And if you're talking about the community of the U.S., we're a nation of immigrants.
Wouldn't at some point admitting millions of uneducated people, millions of poor people who maybe don't have the skills to work certain jobs, and in some cases, those poor people who come are going to compete with a lot of our poorest Americans for jobs. There's not a job for everyone to go around, and so that's when I think the economy would start to get hurt.
Actually, it doesn't affect the economy in that way that I don't know if you're comparing like Americans and immigrants with like low skilled jobs,
right.
But actually the main cause of Americans losing unskilled jobs is not immigrants. It's like a host of other things and a host of other systemic injustices, including like racial injustices.
DACA is about protecting children and giving them opportunities for education, and there's really no reason to be denying someone an education and a safe place to live just because they're from another country.
Undocumented or not, these people are Americans, and that people need to be fighting for them. So, yeah.
You said they're Americans, but I guess that's the whole argument, because they're not American.
People who have lived here for basically their entire lives, like in the soul, are Americans. You see, and that we need to be able to look at each other and not look at skin color, not look at country of origin, and be able to see each other through that lens. They grew up here. This is their country. It's not it's a slap in the face because they get taken care of before anybody else. Everybody should be getting taken care of. That's the issue that we're trying to fight with. So we should be helping everybody.
Right, but don't we have a duty to our fellow citizens first?
They should be citizens. They should be able to have an easy pathway to citizenship. So that's the point. That's the point that I'm making.
Okay.